So in this video, I'm going to speak about an EQ technique, which I don't really see anyone speaking about too much, and that's left-right EQing. So what it is basically is where you can EQ the left and right channels independently from each other. And it's something that I've kind of used a lot the past 6 months to a year for creating separation in my mixes, particularly when you have multiple elements which are occupying the same frequency range. You need to find another way to create separation between them in order, to basically have a more cleaner and full mix where each element has their own area to sit in. So I started using left-right EQing to basically create the separation. The way I did it basically is on one element I'd boost, for instance, the left channel at certain frequency areas, and the other one I'd boost the right channel. In this example here, as you can see, on this synth here, which is this one, what I've done is, I've boosted the right channel at 100 hertz and 10 kilohertz, and then I've basically reversed it and cut the left channel at the same frequencies. So what this is doing, if you can hear now, it's basically just like pushing those frequencies into one ear. Yeah, it's not panning them, but it kind of like, if you want to think about it like that, you can think about it like that it's just panning those frequencies into your ear. Yeah, you basically get more of 100 hertz and 10 kilohertz in one ear and less in the other. And then on the other side, on the other channel which you want it to separate from, what you've got to do is use this scale to basically reverse it. So if you just do that, that's like boosting the right channel by that much and taking the left channel that much. But if I reverse it, so it's minus 100, it's basically flipping its head. So that was this one. If you hear that, that's going into the left ear and this one's going into the right ear. So when you put them together, you get more separation between the elements and it lets them breathe a bit better. If we take them off and like play with everything else, we've got other synths playing as well at the same time. Like they all just like, they kind of merge into one and they can come a little bit less like recognizable as their own sounds. So if you do this, you're basically going to create separation. And obviously you get a much more stereo sound as well, which is usually desirable because it sounds really good. So this example is from one of my tracks I released last year, which is called Holding On, which came out on my Dreamland EP Undivided. And there's a section here where these rides come in, and we've also got these hats. So if we just turn this off and turn this off, so we've got these hats, and then we've got these rides, and then all together I just felt like it just all looked like a bit too bunched together into one area, and especially if we play it with everything else, everything's like kind of just in one area and you don't really get like a full immersive experience of the whole track. Yeah, it's just too bunched together. So what I did was I did the same thing. So we got this and this. So originally, actually, yeah, this is how I found out about this technique. It's this Stereo Effect 1 preset on Ableton, and it's basically doing that. It's like a kind of like a phasey kind of comb filter thing. Yeah, you can see you got peaks and troughs in different ears. So if we just switch, it's kind of what I did in the other track, but this is a lot more extreme. So these rides are going to one ear, then these hats go into the other. See, that scale's 100%, that one's minus 100%, which means they're just reversed, like just flipped kind of on their head from each other. And then when you play it together, they end up being really stereo and they just detach themselves from the synths and the rest of the track. And yeah, just sit in their own space, and it just means that it's just a really good way to basically separate things, and it's also quite mono compatible as well. Like if we play this in mono, you know, you don't really lose much at all. This as well, we play the whole thing, you know, obviously it's coming in, but you don't actually lose much of the original flavour. So yeah, try it out. If you have Ableton, just type in stereo in here, and then if you go to the EQ, you can find this preset. But also just mess about yourself and just, you know, just get an EQ and literally just like boost different areas and on different sides and just see how it affects your sound. And it's just, you don't have to necessarily do the exact same thing on one sound and reverse it. You can just like put it on any element and just like kind of get a nice stereo effect where you're slightly pushing some frequencies into one ear and taking from the other, and it can just make stuff stick out a little bit more. Like, you know, for instance, if you want a certain frequency to stand out more, and if you're boosting the whole thing, it just sounds really like upfront and harsh and in your face, you can just do it on one side, and it's just gonna like just push it into one ear, which will, because it's going into one ear and it's like stereo and it's separating from everything else, you're probably gonna hear it a lot more and a lot clearer than anything else. Like I say, it's one of my favorite techniques to use. It's something that I don't see used enough, and let me know how you get on with it. If you'd like this, then please consider subscribing to my Patreon, where I have loads of in-depth tutorials, track breakdowns, free tracks, project stems and files and everything, samples. So it's a great way to support me, but there's a lot you get in return. Yeah, so thank you for watching this. I'll be back next week with another video.